welcome to our Monday Minute. Today we're going to discuss the most recent reason code that has been issued, or I technically should say reactivated. There has been in place since the prospective payment system began, honestly, over 20 years ago, an edit that required the visit date on the HIPS code line, or I should say the date on the HIPS code line of a claim, to match the first billable visit on the claim. In the past, under 60-day payment methodology, that wasn't that big a deal. Now we switched to the PDGM model and we began requests for anticipated payments to be every 30 days. When that occurred, the edit couldn't work and wouldn't work on subsequent periods of care. And so they put a hold on that edit back in 2021 and are now convinced that the edit should be reactivated. And they did so on January 3rd with no prior warning. In fact, the notifications that are dated from CGS specifically were dated January 6th, saying that CMS had stated they would be reactivated on January 3rd. Then we have another situation where Palmetto GBA has identified that there could be an issue with claims in this edit because of the artificial start date that was required with claims that had crossover periods into 2022 when the notice of admission began. We have also identified that NGS has not made an official announcement regarding this edit being reinstated in January. We, Healthcare Provider Solutions, as a billing entity for agencies all over the nation, have a few hundred claims that have hit T status as a result of this edit with CGS and Palmetto GBA, but we do not have any with NGS. However, we have had reports from agencies in the NGS coverage area that they have several that have been hitting T status with this reason code 31755. We have also identified a difference in the language on the three Medicare MAC websites. Both CGS and Palmetto GBA state, as the language in the original wording of the regulation says, that the HIPS code line date must match the first billable visit on the claim. That would include even subsequent 30-day periods, recertifications, subsequent 30-day periods in a recertification, et cetera. And so while it's not a big deal at the start of care, because 99.9%, if not 100% of the time, the date on the HIPS code line is going to match the start of care date and the first billable visit. That's not typically an issue at all. But in the subsequent periods, the from and through date on the 30-day claim are the first day of the 30-day period, and that is required. The HIPS code line, however, based on this edit and regulation, the HIPS code line date should match the first billable visit in that period. Typically, the EMR systems are having that HIPS code line match the beginning of the billing period, which does not necessarily coincide with the visit. Now, the difference in CGS and Palmetto versus NGS is that the CGS and Palmetto GBA wording states that that HIPS code line must match the first visit on the claim. NGS says that the HIPS code line must have a date that matches a visit on the 30-day period. It does not say that it has to match the first billable visit on the claim. So obviously there is still some clarification that's going to have to be worked out with this edit. We know that all Medicare MACs have stated that you simply are going to need to change that date on the HIPS code line and reflect the first billable visit date on the claim, and it will correct, process, and pay. EMR systems, we know of one very large EMR system that has stated they have an update this week that should reconcile the situation. We are hoping that that is true. But until that point, to avoid T-status claims, you're going to need to make sure that date on the HIPS code line matches the first billable visit on the claim, regardless of what 30-day payment period you are in. In addition, if you're not clearing that before you bill the claim, you will need to make the correction in DDE in the T-status or in your clearinghouse if it allows for that, so that the claim can reprocess and pay. We hope that this has been helpful today and will calm some of the fears that have been ignited over the last couple of weeks with this situation. And we hope that the EMR systems are making this edit correction very soon so that you won't have to correct things on the back end. We are always here to help. If there's ever anything that HPS can do for you, don't hesitate to let us know. And we hope you have a fabulous week.